An idea of the theater has been lost, and as long as the theater limits itself to showing us intimate scenes from the lives of a few puppets, transforming the public into peeping toms, it is no wonder the elite abandon it and the great public looks to movies, the music hall, or the circus for violent satisfactions whose intentions do not deceive them. At the point of deterioration which our sensibility has reached, it is certain that we need above all a theater that wakes us up, nerves and heart. The misdeeds of the psychological theater descended from Racine have unaccustomed us to that immediate and violent action which the theater should possess. Movies, in their turn, murdering us with second-hand reproductions which, filtered through machines, cannot unite with our sensibility, have maintained us for 10 years in an ineffectual torpor in which all our faculties appear to be foundering. In the anguished, catastrophic period we live in, we feel an urgent need for a theater which events do not exceed, whose resonance is deep within us, dominating the instability of our times. Our long habit of seeking diversion has made us forget the idea of a serious theater, which, overturning all our preconceptions, inspires us with a fiery magnetism of its images and acts upon us like a spiritual therapeutics whose touch can never be forgotten. Everything that acts is a cruelty. It is upon this idea of extreme action pushed beyond all limits that theater must be rebuilt. Imbued with the idea that the public thinks first of all with its senses, and that to address oneself first to its understanding as the ordinary psychological theater does, is absurd. The theater of cruelty proposes to resort to a mass spectacle to seek in the agitation of tremendous masses convulsed and hurled against each other a little of that poetry of festivals and crowds when, all too rarely nowadays, the people pour out into the streets. The theater must give us everything that is in crime, love, war, or madness if it wants to recover its necessity. Everyday love, personal ambition, struggle for status, all have value only in proportion to their relation to the terrible lyricism of the myths to which the great mass of men have assented. This is why we shall try to consecrate around famous personages, atrocious crimes, superhuman devotions, a drama which, without resorting to the defunct images of the old myths, show that it can extract the forces which struggle within them. In a word, we believe that there are living forces in what is called poetry, and that the image of a crime presented in the requisite theatrical conditions is something infinitely more terrible for the spirit than that same crime when actually committed. We want to make out of the theater a believable reality which gives the heart and the senses that kind of concrete bite which all true sensation requires, in the same way that our dreams have an effect upon us and reality has an effect upon our dreams. So we believe that the images of thoughts can be identified with a dream which will be efficacious to the degree that it can be projected with the necessary violence, and the public will believe in the theater's dreams on condition that it take them for true dreams and not for a servile copy of reality, on condition that they allow the public to liberate within itself the magical liberties of dreams which it can only recognize when they are imprinted with terror and cruelty. Hence this appeal to cruelty and terror, though on the vast scale whose range probes our entire vitality, confronts us with all our possibilities. It is in order to attack the spectator's sensibility on all sides that we advocate a revolting spectacle which, instead of making the stage and auditorium two closed worlds without possible communication, spreads its visual and sonorous outbursts over the entire mass of the spectators. Also, departing from the sphere of analyzable passions, we intend to make use of the actor's lyric qualities to manifest external forces, and by this means to cause the whole of nature to re-enter the theater in its restored form. However vast this program may be, it does not exceed the theater itself, which appears to us, all in all, to identify itself with the forces of ancient magic. Practically speaking, we want to resuscitate an idea of total spectacle by which the theater would recover from the cinema, the music hall, the circus, and from life itself what has always belonged to it. The separation between the analytic theater and the plastic world seems to us a stupidity. One does not separate the mind from the body nor the senses from the intelligence, especially in a domain where the endlessly renewed fatigue of the organs require intense and sudden shock to revive our understanding. Thus, on the one hand, the mass and the extent of the spectacle addressed to the entire organism, on the other, the intensive mobilization of objects, gestures, and signs used in a new spirit. The reduced role given to the understanding leads to an energetic compression of the text. The active role given to obscure poetic emotion necessitates concrete signs. Words say little to the mind. Extent and objects speak. New images speak. New images made with words. But space, thundering with images and crammed with sounds, speaks too. If one knows how to intersperse from time to time a sufficient extent of space stocked with silence and immobility. On this principle, we envisage producing a spectacle where these means of direct action are used in their totality, a spectacle unafraid of going as far as necessary in the exploration of our nervous sensibilities, of which the rhythms, sounds, words, resonances, and twitterings, and their united qualities and surprising mixtures belong to a technique which must not be divulged. The images in certain paintings by Grunwald and Harmonius Bosch tell enough about what a spectacle can be in which, as in the brain of some saint, the objects of external nature will appear as temptations. It is in this spectacle of a temptation from which life has everything to lose and the mind everything to gain that the theater must recover its true signification. Elsewhere, we have given a program which will allow the means of pure staging found on the spot to be organized around historic or cosmic themes familiar to all. And we insist on the fact that the first spectacle of the theater of cruelty will turn upon the preoccupations of the great mass of men, preoccupations much more pressing and disquieting than those of any individual whatsoever. It is a matter of knowing whether now, before the cataclysms which are at our door descend upon us, sufficient means of production, financial or otherwise, can be found to permit such a theater to be brought to life. It is bound to in any case, because it is the future, or whether a little real blood will be needed right away in order to manifest this cruelty.